Biological weapons have been used since as far back as the 14th century, when the Mongols threw plague-infected bodies into the city of Kaffa. But bioweapons are cruel, letting people suffer until they are cured or, in the worst case, die.
Smallpox is a disease that takes up to 2 weeks to kill you, all while you are in extreme agony and pain. But smallpox has been used many times as a weapon in war.
Smallpox is a highly contagious disease that is caused by the variola virus. It was one of the most devastating diseases, killing around 500 million people before its eradication in March of 1980.
Smallpox is believed to have originated in 10,000 BCE, when humans were beginning to enter agricultural stages in northeastern Africa.
Experts believe that smallpox spread to India through Egyptian merchants.
Smallpox was originally introduced to Europe in the 5th and 7th centuries and had many outbreaks in the Middle Ages.
The deadly disease was unfortunately spread to the Americas along with the discovery of the New World. Spanish and Portuguese conquistadors introduced smallpox to the Aztecs and Incas, while the disease was introduced to North America by early settlers, leading to a steep decline in native populations.
Another contributor to the spread of smallpox was African slave trade, bringing many Africans from places where smallpox was still hugely prominent.
In the 18th century, smallpox had a varied case fatality rate, from 20 to 60%. Smallpox killed an average of 400,000 people annually.
Smallpox was a serious disease that spread like wildfire. During the French and Indian War, British forces, particularly under the command of Sir Geoffrey Amherst, intentionally used smallpox as a biological weapon by distributing blankets contaminated with the disease to Native American tribes.
Amherst was aiming to weaken their resistance by triggering a widespread of outbreaks among them. This practice is considered a notorious example of biological warfare in history. Smallpox killed an estimated hundreds of thousands of Native Americans.
In the Revolutionary War, there was a British general who was named Sir William Howe. Howe gave a very large portion of smallpox-infected blankets to Native Americans. An estimated amount of 3 million Indians were killed by the smallpox before the end of the Revolutionary War.
The Soviet Union saw how devastating smallpox can be, so during the later years of the 1930s, they began developing ways to massively produce the virus to be used as a weapon.
The Soviets grew smallpox on the chorioallantoic membrane of the chicken embryos in the developing phase. This made it easy for the Soviet Union to make large productions and quantities of the deadly virus, even though most of the biodefense professionals said it would be difficult.
The Soviet Union continued this culture for more than 30 years. During that time frame, they perfected their techniques for higher efficiency and quantity. The Soviets tested this bioweapon on Vozrodenia Island until the natural version of smallpox was eradicated in the 1970s and they signed the 1972 Biological Weapons Convention.
One variolation, which was essentially scratching material from smallpox pustules into the skin. Another way to variolate was to inhale the materials. Unfortunately, variolation usually had bad results, often causing local outbreaks.
In 1796, English physician Edward Jenner observed that milkmaids who had previously been ill from cowpox, a virus closely related to variola alongside smallpox, were showing an increased immunity to smallpox.
Transferring material from a cowpox sore from a milkmaid into the man's of Jenner's gardener's son, Jenner observed that the son had developed an immunity to smallpox. The discovery led to the development of the first vaccine against smallpox.
The World Health Organization began planning efforts to eradicate smallpox in 1959, but the campaign fell short due to a lack of resources, funding, and global commitment.
Monitoring and containment strategies were of the utmost importance to the eradication of smallpox. Constant supervision allowed public health workers to identify smallpox cases early, isolate and interview patients, identify people who had been exposed as well as their close contacts, notify them of their exposure, and surveil their health.
Those close to the patients were vaccinated in what is known as a ring vaccination, creating a ring of immunity around infected individuals by vaccinating all those closest to victims.
Worldwide cooperation on use of the vaccine resulted in the complete eradication of this fatal disease. The last case of smallpox on record was in Somalia of October of 1977. And the last fatal case was in England on September 11th, 1978. Because smallpox's eradication, vaccines are no longer employed by the general public. However, if an outbreak were here to occur, there are licensed vaccines available in the US.